Yes, yeah, you are.
All right, so I think I have to wait 10 seconds and then I will do my little introduction and then we'll get going. Uh, okay, well, now I'd like to welcome three of our Louisville sisters, Elaine Munch, Jeanette Pope, and Lynn Slaughter, each a multi-published mystery author with a long list of impressive accomplishments. The idea for the panel exchange came up last December when Elaine, who was the program director for the Louisville chapter, sent me an email proposing a possible program. That initial contact evolved into a few more emails between us, and we came up with a different idea, which was having our chapters present panel discussions at each other's meetings. So 6 months later, part one of our idea came to fruition when Louisville hosted a Speed City Sisters panel featuring Diana, Brenda, Crystal, Steve, Russ, and Michael at their chapter's June meeting. And now finally, it's our turn, and we get to hear from Elaine, Jeanette, and Lynn. Among their topics will be a discussion about their organization, their writing, their projects, and how a recent retreat has helped them continue moving forward. Now I will turn the program over to them. So please join me in welcoming our Louisville sisters, AKA the Derby Rotten Scoundrels. Okay.
That's great. Well, Lane and Jeanette, do you want me to start with the retreat stuff? Okay. All right. Well, my part of the presentation kind of has to do with our desire to rejuvenate and revitalize our organization. When I joined in 2016, we had about 7 or 8 regulars, and we met at Cafe Barnes and Noble in Louisville. And we would have a critique of 1 or 2 people, followed by a business meeting, followed by a speaker. It soon became apparent to me, or I learned, I guess, from other members, that our membership had actually dramatically declined from where it had been. At one time, we actually had between 30 and 40 members. So some people had died, some people had moved away, some folks had lost interest, but it was clear we had, lost a certain amount of energy or something. One of the things that had gone awry was that the person who was president at the time I joined in 2016, hadn't been terribly interested in the organization. Her husband had been ill, then he died, and then she got very involved in politics. And she really hadn't done anything with this anthology that she'd been kind of holding on to all the stuff for years. Well, thank goodness, Elaine Munch and Susan Bell came to the rescue, and they worked, pardon my expression, but they worked their butts off to get this anthology pulled together, to find a small press to publish it. And it's been very well received. And as I said, it's going to be in the Kentucky Book Festival, which is a big honor in our state. Then the next thing that happened was that the president who succeeded the one we'd had when I joined was a multi-published, very accomplished novelist, but she also was not terribly interested in the anthology. And she seemed to give critiques that would demoralize some of our members. And that wasn't a good thing, obviously. So the next thing that happened is that that person decided she no longer wanted to be president and wanted to step down. In fact, she wanted to leave Sisters in Crime. So Elaine and Susan recruited me to be president. And we were very, and so that's what happened. I was elected, not that I had any competition for that, but we ended up with an entirely new board. and a lot of people who really wanted to shift the culture of the organization to make it more positive, supportive, encouraging, welcoming to all of our members. So one of the first things I did was to write up some guidelines for critiques and how they should be done so that they're actually helpful and constructive and encouraging. And the second thing we decided to do was to have a retreat and to sort of refocus on what are we here for, what do we want to do, and where are we going to go from here. So we decided to have this all-day retreat at General Butler State Park. And one of the things that I did was to ask every attendee to prepare a list of 3 to 5 goals that they'd like to see for the organization and action steps they'd like to see us take. And in retrospect, I do think that was helpful because when we got to the retreat, we were able to all, look at copies of each other's written work. We weren't really starting from scratch, which was, I think, helpful for us. So we ended up having a very good bonding experience and got some good work done. We rewrote our mission statement. We decided on our overarching goals. I think there were 5 of them. I think one was community outreach and support, assisting in the professional development of our members, growing our membership, recognizing volunteer contributions, and also restructuring our board to address what needs of our chapter were not currently being met by our board composition. So after that, we came up with just tons and tons of ideas of what we wanted to do. And obviously, we're not going to be able to immediately do all of them, but we're started. Believe it or not, we've started. One thing that we decided to do as part of community service and outreach, Elaine Munch, you'll notice her name is coming up a lot. She is what we call a mover and a shaker, and she's one of my heroes. And Elaine has been getting the word out to underserved libraries in Kentucky and Indiana. Look, we've got the Sisters in Crime, we love libraries grants, and we really want you to apply. Another thing we did and are in the process of doing is establishing a speakers bureau. And we have chapter members, including myself and Elaine and Jeanette, who have volunteered to visit libraries in Kentucky and Indiana and make presentations that hopefully will be of interest to readers as well as writers, and will help spread the word about our organization and our chapter. Then another thing, of course, is we're working on, and this is not my wheelhouse, they're going to Jeanette and Elaine will talk about this, but I do want to mention we're also working on getting our play produced. This is a play called Iced at the Easy, based on an idea by our very own Jeanette Pope. And we are dying to get this play produced. We were hoping the Fraser Museum was going to be able to do it, but they have lost some of their funding. And so now we're kind of trying to figure out other alternatives. Then in terms of professional development of members, one of the things that came out at the retreat was that there were members who really wanted more frequent feedback about their work, and just every few months their turn would be up to be critiqued at the monthly meeting. So we formed a separate small support group for writers and that group is going to be meeting at a separate time from our regular meetings, and they will meet twice a month, and hopefully everyone will be getting feedback on their work at least once a month. So we're excited about that. Another thing we decided to do in terms of professional development was to alternate speakers, our monthly speakers, with working through a craft book together and really studying the craft of writing. And so we're starting on that this fall, and we're excited about that. We've chosen Janet Burroway's classic writing fiction to begin with. So that was another thing we did to grow our membership. And this also is related to the last goal of restructuring our board. We recognized that we wanted to spread the word about our chapter. We had no one in charge of publicity, nobody. So that was a big issue. Well, thank goodness one of our board members, the board member at large, stepped up and said, will she be willing to work as a publicist for our chapter? This is brand new. This is like last week she volunteered to do this. So we're very excited that we finally have a publicist for our chapter. A designer donated time to us to give us a new logo, which we're excited about. And in terms of restructuring the board, we're actually going to vote at the end of this year on altering our bylaws so that we're going to probably eliminate just the board member at large and have one board member be the publicist and another be the webmaster. Why are we doing that? Well, one reason is we actually have a member who's been doing 3 jobs this past year, Susan Bell. She has been the secretary who's taking all the minutes and disseminating them. She's been our webmaster, and she's coordinated our playwriting efforts. You can imagine how challenging it was. At one point, we had 8 people trying to write a play together, which was really fairly wild until we cut it down to just 2 or 3 people like Jeanette to finish the project off. But anyway, so we decided another thing we wanted to do was to really recognize people's contributions. So we inaugurated this Volunteer of the Year award, and that is going to go to Susan Bell. So we're excited about that. We know we have a really long way to go to move our organization forward, but we feel like we're getting started. And also, to be very honest with you, we want to pick your brains because we know that your chapter is a really happening chapter, and we want to steal as many ideas from you as we possibly can. So that's my part of the presentation, and who's up next?
I'll take it.
All right, okay.
Lynn touched on our anthology, which I will hold up, I guess. Can you see that without a blur? Mr.
Yes, yes.
Okay. We started on this, collecting the stories and the transition pages, back around, 13, 14 years ago. I was president at the time, and then my husband got sick and died. And I passed it to someone else whose husband got sick and died. And then the next president we had was unmarried, so we were okay. But we had to go out. One of the members came to me and told me I had a moral obligation to publish this book. And I really didn't understand that because I wasn't the one that started the whole thing at the time. But anyway, we had to track down people. And that was my job. I had to find the stories and all that. And several of the authors had died, so that it became rather interesting. But we were able to put it together. And we had positive feedback from University of Kentucky Press, from Indiana University Press. Wonderful book, great thing. It just doesn't fit. So we turned to, believe it or not, 2 of our ex-members, Sarah Glenn and Gwen Mayo. They were members of ours way back when. They contributed to the first 2 anthologies that we put together, the Derby Rotten Scoundrels and Low Down in Derby. But one of their parents had gotten sick and they moved to Florida. And when they were down there, they decided to form their own LLC, Mystery and Horror LLC. And we, got in touch with them and said, we would prefer if you could publish this rather than going to Amazon on our own, because we knew the distribution would be better. And so they put it together through Ingram Spark, which allows it to be in the Barnes and Noble database. And it is, we told them, make sure it's returnable so that we can so that they will put it out on the shelf. Otherwise, if it's non-returnable, having been a longtime bookseller or still selling books from Barnes and Noble, I realize that they're not going to bring it in unless it's returnable. So that happened. And of course, wham, bang, we got it published right smack dab in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So no one was answering their phone because they weren't in the office. No one was answering their emails. And the one little store that I was able to reach said, I'm not taking on any new stock. I don't have any customers. So we said, okay, fine. So I started pushing it through the Barnes and Noble in Louisville and was able to do a little bit of that. But like Lynn said, this year, because a year ago we had applied to go to the Kentucky Book Fair and that was shut down. So there was none. But this year we have been accepted and we are just really very, very excited about it and going to move forward with it. The other thing that I want to touch on is something that was near and dear, or is still near and dear to my heart, that I took over as part of community service. Right around Derby time, the Courier-Journal ran an article about Kentucky libraries that were in dire straits. These were libraries that were in counties that did not have a provision to get any money from the property taxes. Most of the libraries in Kentucky, their counties, like in Jefferson County, a certain percentage of our property taxes go to the libraries, or they'll have a little stipend on there. But these counties had nothing. And I started thinking about the We Love Libraries grant. I went and did some research and found that there was a county in Kentucky that had gotten the grant several years ago. So I called them up and I said, hey, how did you guys learn about the program? Not a single person in that library was there at the time that they applied. So I came up with a flyer, which a one-page flyer that I'm going to send to, or I have sent just recently to the lady who's in charge of the Kentucky Department of Libraries and Archives. Every so often she sends out a newsletter. And I have talked to her and asked her if she would include this flyer. And in it, it pretty much tells them, okay, this is the grant. This is how you apply. It is incredibly simple to apply. And then I thought, well, we'll follow up on that at another time and see how it's going. I checked on the Indiana site because I thought, well, I'm sure, Indiana has libraries that are in dire strait. And then found out that Indiana very wisely has taken some of that money from the government, that they plopped into states and businesses and stuff like that. They set aside several $1 million to give to their libraries. They're giving them $5,000 to $10,000 in a grant, which obviously you have to apply, and there was a deadline in that. So I'm thinking that if you're the librarians in Indiana are probably, dancing in the street, they're so happy about that. The other thing that, upon talking with the librarians that I have, I'm sorry, my cat is up here and about to get in our way.
Visiting again, huh?
Yeah, this Millie thought she put her 2 cents in. We decided to come up with the Speakers Bureau because talking with the libraries, they did express an interest in having writers come and talk to them about a variety of things, and so we put together, sent out a call to the members, and we must have had 30 or 40 different topics, and which was like at least 20 topics more than we could probably handle. So we have, in the last week or so, put together a Speakers Bureau, which I have written up, and I'm going to send again to Hillary over at the KDLA. And it's, some of the programs we've got. The one I want to do is a brief history of women crime writers. We have history of young adult literature, writing contemporary young adult literature, getting the first book written and published, where do writers get their ideas, writing mysteries with a Kentucky slant, and so on and so on. So we've got about 10 that we're working on right now, but we also have a basis for, at least I felt, putting on day-long workshops for writers. We've got quite a few really bones of writing. And I thought that we should, instead of doing that as a one slot presentation, maybe work with the libraries for a half a day or a full day presentation for the writers in their area. So that is in the works, but that's where we're kind of going with that. And then I'm going to turn this over to Jeanette in 1 second. I'll lead up to how the heck we got involved with this play. We sold our book to the Fraser Museum in downtown Louisville. And then we went down to meet with them because they were so excited. They just loved our book. And we were talking to them and they said, oh, what else can you do to help us? You know, and we said, well, give us some ideas. Well, they wanted us to do some stuff for scavenger hunts. Susan and I went back and we spent 2 weeks writing up all these scavenger hunts for them to do around their museum, sent it off. I'm not sure that we got a thank you, but I'm sure in their hearts they wanted to thank us. And then they had talked about doing a play, because they have an area to put the play on, and they also have a really nice little speakeasy, which is part of the museum tour. So Susan, who is also a photographer, I mean, there's almost nothing Susan can't do. I think if you need heart surgery, she'd read up on it. But so she took all these pictures about the museum, around the museum, and she, you know, presented it to the people interested in writing. And like Lynn said, there were 8 people that were interested in writing this play. And 3 people presented an idea, and Jeanette's was the one that we thought was, I don't want to say the best, but it was really a good one to work on because it would really fit into the program. So we started writing on it, and of course it just. So I finally got on the phone with the Fraser and I said, "Are you talking about a 5-act play, a 3-act play?" And they said, "We're thinking more in lines of a 20-minute skit." And we went, "Okay." And now I'll turn it over to Jeanette, who is the lady behind the play.
Well, good morning or afternoon. And first of all, I want to say thank you all for allowing us to visit with you today. And we hope to learn a whole lot of stuff. But okay, as Elaine said, that in one of our chapter meetings, it was announced that the Fraser was interested in a play to add at the end of their bourbon trail. And so we formed a writing committee. I mean, it was like 8 people. And we met every Sunday, many, many Sundays. That's how we spent our pandemic. It was good time though. Okay, but we wrote, okay, so we structured it like this. So we asked people of the committee to submit play, well, a scenario for a play. And I submitted my scenario because that is one of my favorite pastimes, is to know. I'm fascinated with the 1920s, the gangsters, prohibition, which made no sense to me. People drank more in a prohibition than the law to stop them from doing it. So, you know, I was really interested in that. And then I've watched many films, television, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, that sort of thing. So I put what I knew with a deadly twist of the murder weapon together for the play. And then I submitted it, and I was beyond thrilled that these seasoned writers thought that mine was good enough to start working on first. Now we have 2 in the can, as they would say, that we're going to work on later. Now, when we came back together, each author that submitted theirs read theirs, and then the committee did select mine. And I was really, really happy about that. Then someone asked me how did it feel to turn over my idea to a committee of 8 people? How did I feel about that? Was it hard or was it easy? Well, I trusted the sisters and I was intrigued. I wanted to see how this was going to work out. And boy, did it work. We went over and over until then somebody suggested that we slim down just a little bit, talk about specific topics. and we finally got a product that we liked. And I was really thankful and grateful that they let me have the last word of what it was going to be like. And when I looked at it, the only thing I found is that in the 20s, it was okay to say certain terminology about certain people. However, that would not be appropriate today. So Susan and I, we worked around the terminology to the point that it wouldn't be offensive, that everybody understood. And what I liked about it is that when we were developing the play, we added humor to it. We added the slang for that area. And we did the research to see what would work, the songs, the dress. In fact, it was quite, even though it was we met every Sunday, I did look forward to coming every Sunday. What else we was gonna do with the pandemic? But so I think we produced something that's really really a good product. And I think now where we at right now is that we need to know where to go from here with the play, since the Fraser just about fizzled out, I do believe. And we want to use it to, we want to know how to get it produced, and we want it to find out what good places it would be to do it. So I saw Crystal's name, and I'm going to send her a text to see if we could meet, and maybe she could give me some ideas about what to do and how to get it done. But going back to Susan, she worked really hard with the technology she used, from the Zoom to sharing the screen to setting up how it looked in the Fraser in the little part that we'll be doing the play. It was fantastic, and it was almost like magic. I mean, the way that she did the editing, and then she would get us a copy back. I don't think the award was enough for her. We need to give her something else. But in wrapping this all up, I enjoyed doing the play. And like I said, I was thrilled that they picked my play. And I did have a play produced when I was at Jefferson Community College. And I just submitted that on a whim, and it won. And the drama department did produce the play. I am very honored about that. But right now, we need to know, like, what's the cheapest way to do it, where to put it, and get a draw of a lot of people for fundraisers, and to get our name out there, maybe to another way to increase our membership. So thank you for letting me meet with you all and give my spiel about my play and my thrills.
Oh, that was great, Jeanette.
Thank you.
Do you all have any questions or comments for us, or any feedback for us?
My first question is, how many people are in the play?
We have, I think, was it 7 to 8?
7,
Uh-oh.
8. Yeah.
Yeah, we know from the last time that we talked with you when we met that it needed to be slimmed down. So that's a place to start.
Okay, second of all, is it commercial play? I mean, what is the play about, please?
The play is it's a mystery murder, and it's taking place in a speakeasy.
And
Oh, you want me to go on? Okay, it's like,
no,
okay.
I mean, that's not telling me anything.
It's like, okay, we have, for our cast of members, we have a crooked mayor of Louisville. He is a philanderer.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if you were, I mean, you're, okay. Just give me a tagline of what the play is about. Because if you're trying to sell the work, it's just like selling your book. Short, sweet, what is it about?
Okay, short and sweet. We're in a speakeasy, murdered mayor, and a mystery of how he got murdered.
I'm willing to read the play. And I'm going to tell you how to cut down so you can get it produced, because 7 or 8 people, Now, I'm not saying it can't be produced, but I'm saying that it would be costly to produce it. Plus,
that's what we're here for.
When you're trying to get something produced, people are not looking for that many people in a work.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first think I told the rest of my sisters in crime family. I said, the fewer the people, the better, and the better that you might be able to get it produced. But I'm willing to look at it personally.
Oh, well, very good.
I
So
have, have to be honest with you. Most people get very involved with their writing, particularly places very personal. I look at it from a business standpoint, so I'm not going to look at it from the aspect of this is personal and stuff. So what I'm saying is, harden yourself for my critique, because as soon as you said 7 to 8 people, I was like reluctant to even volunteer to read a play with that many people. But I am willing to read it and to give you the best feedback that I can on it.
Thank you. We were grateful for that. But the last time we met with you, we already knew what your point of view was for all the people. And you said the less, the merrier.
Okay.
So
All
we
right.
already knew that when we came. So, and we were looking forward to anything that you can do for us, because this is our first time doing it. And the last time I met with you, we seen that you were successful with what you did. And we want to see what is cost effective. And I want to meet with you. And I think the rest of the group too, so we can see, after we send you a copy of the play, what your suggestion is. And don't feel, like you have to hold back on anything.
That's what I said, I won't. And that's why I said, please don't be sensitive about
Oh,
it.
no,
Because
we can take it.
if you want it to work, it's just got to be critiqued. And I'm sorry, I really haven't even seen the play, and I can tell you that it needs to be pared down. I enter contests. I've been entering contests for like 2 years, and almost every contest I enter, every production I submit, 5 has now become the most. I've got plays I can't even send out because they now are down to 5 people.
Well,
and my last one I entered was 3. They didn't want more than 3 people because it costs money to produce plays. The fewer people,
that's why
the
we
less
want to
it's
talk
cost.
to you about what to do, because you have much more experience than we do. And don't say you're sorry. We've been through worse critique than probably you. So send us what
and may I suggest
you have, and we will follow your directions.
Well, no, I'm just suggesting also you talk to those people who did the group, because I know Mike and Janet, it ended up being a small group of people that I think they can offer you a lot of, well, at least I think they can offer you a lot of direction insofar as working in a group. Because good. Lily and I usually work together, 2 people, and then mostly I work alone on plays. But this group thing, which was new to me, which I kind of shied away from. To me, they got some insight in another way of doing it and stuff. But that's just my opinion.
Well, your opinion is greatly needed. And what we'll do is get your information, see about getting you a copy of the play, and then take it from there. And we'll appreciate whatever you can give us.
So
that's my input.
We have pared down the writing from 8 people to 4, Jeanette, myself, Susan, and Patience. Martin, who is an actress, director, dialogue coach. She's got some stage, savvy. And we have decided, we're going to take this, and obviously we would appreciate your feedback. We've gotten feedback from 1 or 2 other people, and the big thing they have all said was, 8 people, come on, guys. It's not West Side Story we're doing here. So we'll be working on cutting it down, but we'll send you what we've finished at this point. And then you can really, and you will not hurt our feelings at
all. Not at all.
New adventure for all of us, and we would like to, when we try and present something that is going to be successful.
Right.
So, but yes, we would appreciate that. Anything you could.
Yeah, so if you could put how I can contact you, Crystal, in the chat, we can get started.
She just did.
I just put my email in the chat.
All right, thank you so much.
I had a quick question. I don't remember if I asked you this last month, but this is Michael. Oh, you probably already know that. In any event, is there do you guys have a Fringe Festival down there in Louisville or in Kentucky somewhere? Which is, we had there's a Fringe here, and which is what we specifically, we're going to market our play to others now, and we're in the process of getting all that together. But we specifically wrote it for the Indianapolis Theater Fringe Festival. Do you guys have a similar festival down there? I haven't checked to see if you do, but that's the question I've got for you.
To be honest, Michael, I don't know. I would have to check on that.
Yeah. Okay. Their qualifications and that sort of thing can vary. Vary. In terms of production and cost and all sorts of things. But that would be, that might be a site that, if you have one down there that you might want to consider. So
We'll look it up and follow up on that.
yeah, that's a good one. And like Crystal said, I remember when we started, and the first thing that, I wrote some of it, like the first scene right after we first started. I was just bubbling with enthusiasm, and in our first meeting in which we actually had things written down, Crystal just like tore it apart, tore mine apart. I was very discouraged, but at that moment, it also helped provide ultimately in the end, in terms of the work product that I had to contribute, it was very beneficial. It was very beneficial. And what she always said, and whenever I talk to people about doing a play, I start with the very first thing that Crystal said: the more people on the stage, the more people you have to pay. And so, just kind of like keep that in mind. If you could if you could pare it down to as few people as possible, it'll be easier, I think, to market your play to production or whomever, because the more people on stage, the more people you have to pay. So
Makes sense.
yeah, it does. Yeah. And I'm going to thank you, ladies. I had a great time last time. I'm really glad to talk to you again, to see you guys again. But right now, I'm going to have to ring off. So thanks again. My computer is also kind of messing up. So thank you all. And I hope to talk to you all again soon.
Yes, and thank you for all of your input.
Oh, no problem. You can just, Elaine, you've emailed me several times, and if anything, if you ever need any advice, if I have any way that I can help you, I'll definitely contact you back.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you.
No problem. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have it. This is Carol Paddock. I'm vice president, and I wanted to ask you about the libraries in your speaker bureau. The Jeffersonville Library was real receptive to us coming down. A few years ago, we did a panel there, and they were very helpful, very nice, had a decent turnout. So definitely contact Jeffersonville. I think that would be a good one for you guys.
I had several librarians that used to shop at the store. I now only work 2 short hours a week, short shifts a week. And but I believe one of the librarians from Jeffersonville used to come in all the time, and we used to talk about at some point we're going to come over. And I know that it would seem like every spring they had a couple of panels and stuff that they put together. And Carol Plafadish, who is part of our group, she's gone to a couple of signings and talks and stuff like that. I think it was Jeffersonville, or because that's pretty much the biggest one down over there. But yes, Carol's going to work on some of the stuff for the Indiana side of the river, and I'm going to work on the Kentucky side. But yes, I think libraries, when we had our first 2 anthologies out, the Derby Rotten Scoundrels and Low Down in Derby, which was, 15, 20 years ago. When we toured with that and went to the libraries, we were very, very successful. So that's one of the reasons why with the speakers, I thought, well, our only caveat is, do you mind if we bring our books? And usually they don't care. So I'm, looking forward to doing that and helping to, spread the word that way too. So
are you doing individual contacts? Have you done like blanket letters going out to the libraries and then following up about your speakers bureau or about the anthology too?
Well, I haven't done any, didn't do anything about the anthology at this point. The Speakers Bureau just went out, and on the way I have it structured is like I would do the brief history of women crime writers. And I have the blurb, and then I have the presenter, Elaine Munch, and then I give, my email and saying, hey, if you want this, contact me. I did that for the ones that have 2 or 3 people on the panel. One person has, volunteered to be the point person on that. So we will find out probably in the next month, or, I don't know how long or when the Hillary will send it out. We'll find out what reception there is. And like I had talked to Lynn about the fact that, this is a big state. And if somebody asks us to do something and they're 2 hours away, what are we going to do? How are we going to do that? 2, 3, 4 hours away? But we'll cross that bridge if anybody wants us to talk to them, then we'll find out. But yeah, that's, I tried to appoint rather than, I don't know about in your chapter, but we have a tendency to have like 47,000 emails and, reply to this, reply to that, and you lose the train somewhere. So I thought on the Speaker Bureau, they have to have one point person for that particular talk, and then they can go from there, Well, so I will let you know how that works, if it indeed works. And I'll also find out, hopefully through national, if they get a plethora of grant applications from the state of Kentucky. And we'll see. I know $500 isn't a whole lot of money for those that are in dire straits, but then we'll get in touch with them and see what we can do to help them. I don't know.
Yeah, and we've also done that too. Sometimes when we had a library in northern Indiana that got the $500 award. So we actually did a panel, and a group of us went up there and did it in person. We've done some virtually with the libraries this past year. So, and we've offered that. And so that might be something too, you guys look into and maybe be able to offer some of the libraries, do a virtual one.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Nowadays, everybody's doing so much more in the virtual realm. I mean,
Yeah.
A year or so ago, I didn't even know what Zoom was. And if it hadn't been for Zoom, our chapter would have died because we couldn't meet. And the prior president wanted nothing to do with Zoom, which is one of the reasons why she decided to quit when we said, okay, we have got to do Zoom meetings because we're losing everybody.
Yes, true.
So we instituted the Zoom meetings and started up again in January, and everybody was excited about that. And it really worked well because we've got a couple of members in northern Kentucky, and for them to take an hour and a half, 2 hour trip down once a month, sometimes they can make it, sometimes they can't. And then you get into the winter and the weather's bad.
Yeah.
So if nothing else, we always have a fallback saying, okay, we're going to Zoom this month. And everybody is now in the frame of mind that, oh, I know what that means. I look for a message from Susan. Hopefully I won't lose it.
Well, this is Janet Williams, and I'm the president of our chapter. And what we're hoping to do is when we resume in-person meetings is to also offer a virtual component to our members so that folks around the state can actually attend if they want. I think some of us might be getting Zoomed out, and we're hoping to meet in person soon, but working on that. I think it would be great at some point for maybe our chapters to have some kind of get together when it's like safer. That could be like a lot of fun.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, me too. I think so.
yeah.
We'd love
Janice, Janice and I talked about that, and Michael and I talked about, oh, let's have a picnic. And then all of a sudden there are, it's the end of the summer and we don't know.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay, I think we have a question here. How many members are in our chapter? I believe currently it's about 14. So we're a little bit bigger, but not where we want to be. So, yeah.
And can I ask how many of you are going to Prime Crime at the Columbia Club? Are you all doing anything with that this year?
That's a really good question. That's really interesting. We had a discussion at our meeting about this. At the last in-person Prime Crime, there were some offensive comments kind of made by a speaker directed at the LGBTQ community. We as a chapter kind of sent a letter to the organizers of Magna Cum Murder and got nothing back. And then Magna kind of dissolved and Ball State kind of severed its relationship. Then Prime Crime's being reorganized and some of the same people are involved. And we just sent a letter this week asking that Prime Crime creates adopts a code of conduct similar to Sisters in Crime. And BoucherCon has a code of conduct. Many other organizations have codes of conduct like ours. And if they agree to adopt a code of conduct, I mean, we've sponsored luncheons, lunches before. We've had a table there before. It's been enjoyable for many of us to attend, but we can't, in good conscience, participate in an organization that doesn't, at the very least, follow the very same code of conduct that we as a chapter are required to follow.
Understandable. And I remember at the very last Magna, I believe you all did a panel on your play, and that's where I met several of you at that time. It was very, very interesting, very, very good. And ever since then, I've been, corresponding with Bridget and then now Janet's. And, it's like, like you said, it would be nice for all of us to get together,
It would be great.
It would be.
It would be really great. But as a chapter, we can't in good conscience. We brought this to the attention of the National Sisters in Crime. It's time for us collectively to start standing up to kind of the casual slurs that people kind of throw off all the time under the guise of, well, it's satire. Well, I was making a joke. Well, I wasn't being serious. It's not acceptable anymore.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Janet, can you kind of keep us informed about that? Because, that what the results of your sending the letter and whether
yes, I definitely will.
And whether they are going to institute a code of conduct, because that kind of behavior isn't acceptable to us either. So we'd appreciate just being in the loop, because we actually were looking forward to maybe a group of us going up there, because Elaine has spoken so highly of Magna Cum Murder, and
so many things about the event were really terrific. It's a good opportunity to meet other writers. I mean, a lot of panels are really good. It was really rewarding for us to participate in a panel. It's just it wasn't
have to stand up for what you
believe.
Well, we're very supportive of that, and we really want to thank you for having us today. It was really fun to be with you guys.
It was.
And we admire your chapter a lot. We've heard so much about your chapter from Elaine, and we loved the panel that you all brought to us. So we're very appreciative of being sisters together. So, yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
Sisters and misters. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Right. Okay.
Well, this has been a really terrific program. I was taking a few notes. Might be worth us kind of beefing up our speakers bureau. There are we have a number of members who have a lot to share,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we could be doing more outreach, particularly as maybe COVID finally ends. Let's hope.
Oh, let's hope. I don't know.
Oh,
This
yes.
Delta variant, it's a little scary, and so much disinformation, so that there are still folks reluctant to get vaccinated, which is very distressing. But anyway, yes, I'm hoping we're going to turn the corner here. So I'm missing the face-to-face stuff a lot. I really am. You know, Zoom has kept us alive and kept us going, and it's
It
been
did.
wonderful. But I sure miss actually seeing folks in person. So,
Yes.
well, thank you so much for having us, and let's do some more things together.
Yes, that's
they
just
say-
what I was gonna say. Yep, sorry.
We'll see you on down the road. That's what they say. We'll see you on down the road.
Well, don't
Bye,
forget,
and thank you again.
Thank you.
if you like, I can send Elaine the link every month for our meeting, and you're always welcome to join us for our meetings.
Okay, that would be great.
Hope you
Thank
will. So I hope this is just the start of something big.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
You guys are great.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank
It's been
you.
so fun. Thank
Take care,
you.
everybody. Take care.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.